Hey everyone, October is here. It's always hard to believe the month goes by quick, and the market is still red hot. And I'm not really entirely sure all the reasons why, but I just haven't seen a September this strong since 2006. So I don't know what's going on. We're going to probably more than double the volume of sales in the Calgary area from last year. And considering last year, we sold just as many houses as 2019. So to put that in a perspective, that's huge. Once again, we're looking at detached houses here to start with. And when I say once again, I'm referring to this absorption rate, which rose in the month of September. Normally, September is a little slower as people adjust back into the fall life and kids back in school. People are generally not looking for real estate for the first couple of weeks in September, but not this year. This year is a different year. If you take a look from last year, 34% was also pretty strong because by September of 2020, we were out of shutdown and people were shopping, and it was kind of a pent up demand. And then you come to this year, and it's even stronger than last year. So and there's not really a pent up demand. So there's just a demand. Our benchmark price finished at $537,500. And that is up 9.96% from a year ago. So this is a really good time to sell your house. If you have a detached house, you will probably be quite surprised and pleasantly happy with potentially what your house is worth. And, you can see we're now in 2021, we are surpassing those levels of the peak levels of 2014 and 2015. So this is really impressive. So here's the hard numbers. 1,267 sold out of 2,496 active detached houses. And on average, that's 36 days on the market. And I can tell you, if you have a home that you've been trying to sell and you haven't sold it, one of the reasons has got to be the price, because there's such a demand. If things are priced according to the value and they're marketed properly, you should have no problem selling your home in 36 days. Market distribution. Well, I love this chart. And you can see once again, the 300 to 400,000 is starting to be a very small part of the market. As these house prices rise, it is getting really tough to buy a detached home in Calgary under $400,000. It's just becoming a thing of the past, right before our eyes every month. And now you can see 30% is the 400 to 500, so it's moving up. And of course, it makes all the boats in the harbor rise when the tide comes in. So that 5 to 600,000, 23% of the market. 6 to 7 is 12% of the market. So you can see these are really strong markets, and there's a lot of people that are selling in their 4 to 500, and they're moving up into that bigger and nicer home that they want to stay in for a long time. The 1 million to 1.5 million dropped a little bit, 4.09%. It was a little stronger last month. But bottom line is we're still seeing some pretty good numbers in the luxury market too. And it's sustainable. So you can't argue with this seller's market. And I'll tell you something else that we have seen is a massive amount of multiple offer sales, especially in this $400,000 to $500,000 range. Even one of our agents in our brokerage had like 8 offers on one property. I was involved in 2 multiple offer situations in the month of September. So, you have an opportunity right now if you're selling to maybe sell for higher than your asking price. And there is some strategy that you need to follow with that. And I have a lot of experience in that department. I've been through multiple offers. I would guess probably a couple hundred times in my career. So I've got a lot of experience with that, and I could give you some great guidance on some of the strategy and how to maximize in those situations. We're looking at the semi-detached. These are attached properties that are not condos. This is in the balanced market. Still really strong, 40.62% absorption rate. So, almost 41% of the properties listed have sold. And you'll notice when we go look at the stats further that you'll see some of the lower priced ones are starting to become more attractive because, the detached market is pricing some people out of that market, and they're now having to look for semi-detached as an alternative, which is what's happening. And if you look back over last year, we were at 27.69%, so really significant gain. Our benchmark price of $424,900 is up 8.42% year over year. But our benchmark price still not as strong as August, interestingly enough, even though we sold more houses. If we go to the hard numbers, that's 210 of them sold out of 517. So not every one of these are selling. And that means if it's not selling, you have to really take a look at what is the problem. Is it a price problem? Is it maybe a marketing issue? Is it maybe your property doesn't display itself its best? Or are you not attracting the right buyers? But often, price is a factor. 42 days on the market. Well, you can see on market distribution, this 200 to 300 is becoming a thing of the past. But like I said earlier, now the 3 to 400, you see, it's taken its place. All those people who were in the 3 to 400 price point a year ago trying to buy a detached house are now here buying attached houses. Now that's why there's a big drop off here, because if you can afford 4 to 5, your first choice is probably going to be a detached house. But the infill market is still looking pretty good. 7 to 800,000, 11% of the market. 8 to 900, 4.14. These are still pretty good numbers when you consider the infill market was not strong at all, for several years. The row housing market, 36.3% absorption rate, which is up from 26.76 a year ago. And this is the same kind of thing I just mentioned when it comes to the semi-detached is, this is for people, this is a second or third choice to a detached house. And that's why, the benchmark price is $299,600. Still up 7.33%. That's great news, because just like the semi-detached, this was a pretty soft market for the last few years. The benchmark price, though, wasn't as strong as August, even though, again, the sales were up. But you can also see that we still haven't reached 2014 and 2015 levels in this market. Hard numbers, it's 318 out of 876. So there just isn't as many people that want to own a row house compared to a detached house or a semi-detached house. And it's usually because they don't like condo fees and they don't really understand them. That's why it's important, if you sell your house, it's important that when you're marketing it, that people really understand the value of condo fees if you're selling a row house with condo fees. Our 52 days on the market, that's not bad at all when you consider where we've come from. And here's our market distribution. And you can see how all of a sudden 200 to 300 is 40%. So it's the same thing. If you were looking, if your budget, was 200 to 300 last year, you probably would have been looking for semi-detached without condo fees. Now, this is where you're going to be looking with condo fees if that's your budget. But the 300 to 400 at 33% is still pretty respectable. And then it just drops off a cliff when I go to 400 to 500 because now you've got more options with detached houses. Over the years, I've sold a lot of condominium as well. And, condo has always been a little bit less of a demand than detached or semi-detached in Calgary. I do know there was a big push, for the downtown core, and the lifestyle of being, walking distance to everything. And, COVID has changed that to a certain degree. But there's still a lifestyle with condos that people appreciate. And even though the demand for them just isn't as high as detached and semi-detached, there's still a demand for condos. 21.25% of the condos listed sold last month, and that's up from 14.73. So this is also really good news. Consider that, not long ago, even the detached houses in Calgary were sitting at around 20%. So this is becoming respectable. The benchmark price of $253,200 is up 1.24% year over year. And you can see, unfortunately, we haven't come anywhere near the peak of the market in 2014. We got a little ways to go, but we are climbing the ladder and we're slowly getting there. So there's hope for some of the condo people that bought at the peak of the market that maybe at some point they might even be able to break even, which I know a lot of them are trying to hang on for that. Here's the hard numbers: 365 out of 1,718 listed. So again, there just isn't as strong of a demand for them, but respectable to see that 365 sold. 65 days on the market, it's not bad for condos. Again, considering where we came from. So it's not bad at all. You can see the biggest demand is at 200 to 300,000. So there's a lot of first-time buyers and people who are downsizing that are coming into the condo market. And you can still get a pretty nice looking condo for under $300,000. And if you want to get into the real estate market and enjoy, what condo living offers, you can definitely get a pretty nice one. And you can see it just drops off when you get to 300 to 400. And as always, we just don't have a really big condo market in Calgary beyond $400,000, but pretty decent demand under $400,000. So as always, I hope this information has been helpful for you in making some decisions. My invitation is that if you are thinking of selling, of course, I'm giving you a broad perspective of the market. Just reach out to me because there are pockets in Calgary where these numbers look very different, for and against, all right? But some areas could surprise you. I mean, the prices in some areas have gone up over 20%. It's been incredible that some of those pockets in Calgary that are in such high demand. There is a really strong trend right now for people to renovate older homes in high demand neighborhoods and sell them, or even the ones that have just been renovated. There's such a real high demand for those. We've had some really good success helping some clients do some minor renovations before listing, and the payoff has been absolutely enormous. You should talk to me about that if you're thinking of selling and you've got a home that needs a little bit of work. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions, and don't concern yourself about the timelines because I think people just need good information regardless if they're doing something right away or maybe it's even into next year. Have yourself a wonderful Thanksgiving in October and have yourself a great fall. See you next month.